Before we get into the video, a couple of safety things we must go through. So first thing, unplug the machine from the power supply. Isolate that plug so nobody else can plug it back in while you're working on it. Wear some safety gloves because inside the machine is some very sharp edges. And lastly, if you're not confident doing this, contact your local repair agent to help you out. As is the case with most dishwashers, all the electrical components are underneath the appliance. Now, for the purpose of this video, we've got the dishwasher laid down on its side. So this is the very bottom of the dishwasher. And what is the most typical layout for just about all brands and manufacturers is they have a plastic base which is removable. And more often than not, it's just held in with little plastic clips all the way around. Occasionally there might be a couple of screws as well. But if you want to gain access to things like the pump, the motor, the heater, everything else electrical on the dishwasher, you'll find it beneath here. So this becomes the access panel for those components. So I'm going to remove this and show you how we do it. So it is just a case of using a screwdriver just to tease it apart. And the base just comes away like that. So as you can see, what we've got left now is all the electrical components. So just a quick tour. That's your drain pump. That's your heater there. That's your main washing motor. So that is what sprays the water around the appliance. That as a heater is obviously going to heat the water up. And that is your drain pump there. So in this video we're going to show you how to remove and replace a drain pump on a dishwasher. Now the drain pump's always found at the bottom underneath, and as I showed you previously, you remove the access panel to get at that component. But if you are dealing with a drain in fault or the pump has failed, for example, chances are you're going to have some water that you're going to need to get rid of first. So you're going to need to empty all the water out of the tank. Now, there's a few different ways you can do that. If you by any chance have access to a wet vacuum, maybe a carpet shampooer that can suck up water, perfect for sucking all the water out of the dishwasher from inside the cabinet. Failing that, you're going to be using things like siphon pumps or cups and ladling the water, or even towels and things to soak up the water. One way or another, you need to get rid of all that water before you think about taking your pump off. Because once you take this off, there's going to possibly be some water come out of the machine. Or even just laying the machine down on its side, there might be some water that comes out of the door. So you definitely want to try and get rid of as much water as you possibly can. And it's even that said, it's still a good idea to have some towels ready for any extra drips that might appear. So in terms of replacing your pump, it's fairly standard across all different makes and models that the pump is attached to the sump by what we call a bayonet fitting. So it pushes onto the sump and then twists to lock into place. So taking it off is just twisting it in the opposite direction and lifting it off. Now, sometimes there's a little locking tab on the pump that you've got to push to enable you to twist it off. Sometimes there isn't. But the first thing I'm going to do is just disconnect the electrical wires going to it. Move that out of the way. Now, the locking tab for this one is just underneath. Just going to pop that. And then just twists. And that is your drain pump. So it's as easy as that to change your drain pump. The only real time consuming bit of this job is making sure you've got rid of all the water out of the cabinet first. But if you are going to replace that pump with a new one, if this one happens to be faulty, or even a very common fault you get with dishwashers, you get something stuck in the pump. Now, a very common thing to get stuck will be a piece of broken glass or a bit of food packaging, for example. And all it has to do is stop that from turning. So it's more often not the case that you're going to have to remove the pump to get the obstruction out. So there might actually be nothing wrong with the pump. You might be talking about a blockage in here or in this little area here. Either way, you're still going to need to take the pump off to either replace it or remove the blockage. So if you've dealt with the blockage or you're replacing the pump because it is faulty, putting it back on is just the same. Get it into the right position and just push down on it. There'll be a bit of resistance, but you want to make sure the pump is flush with the sump all the way around before you start twisting. When you twist, it'll lock into place, then won't go anywhere. Then all you need to do is connect your electrical wire back up and then reattach your base, stand it back up, and then you should be good to go. So that is how you would remove a pump in case it's faulty or a blockage, and if you was replacing the pump, that was how you'd fit a new one.